Hey there, my name is Dinesh Raj, and I'm the project manager of the Gold Group. I'm super excited to share with you all the incredible work that our team has done over the last 10 weeks in developing Kickback. Today's demo is going to feature an introduction to the platform from myself, a technical overview from Chip Davis, our system designer, and a live demo from John Mikulak, our implementation manager. Kickback is an all-in-one event planning web application which allows users to create events, distribute invites, and accept invites to other events. Our mission is to put people at the forefront of our user experience. This manifests in every aspect of our site, from authentication to the creation of events. My experience with the competitors such as Eventbrite and Punchbowl has made me averse to event planning sites that prioritize themselves over giving their users the tools to easily and swiftly connect with their friends or organizers who have created events. We trim the considerable fat that many event planning applications feature and focus on connecting users with each other. We will never run any ads or accept any sponsored events. In addition to this, we make it accessible to find and invite friends through Google accounts rather than using a proprietary friend system. Our development team has done an incredible job organizing and building out the application, which Chip will be talking about soon. However, our documentation team has been working behind the scenes to ensure our product follows guidelines and adheres to predetermined quality metrics. Our requirements document defines 87 functional, testing, and technical requirements that guide and validate our development process. This has been made possible by tireless work from our requirements manager, who has also created a requirements matrix where we treat the quality of each requirement as an ongoing process, constantly revising and improving the scope of our project. The image on the slide is a small snippet of our vast matrix. We have followed a plan all the way through development and the documentation cycle of this project. This was laid out within the first 2 weeks on the ClickUp platform by our planner Alyssa. This has defined our direction and given each member a clear idea of what their tasks are at a given time. On the slide is a sample of what the global ClickUp calendar looks like. Within ClickUp, we have a comprehensive calendar with target dates, meeting times, and the ability to keep each other accountable by checking in on the progress of other members of the team. The requirements and plan we defined have been integral to maintaining a healthy management process, and the work from our UI designer Daniel and system designer Chip have laid out clear expectations to meet our vision of connecting users with one another. I will now pass it to Chip, who will talk about the technical specifications of our project.
All right, thank you, Dee. So now I'm going to start talking about a little bit about our development process. So one of the things that was really important to us is that we were a task-driven development team. This screenshot on the right shows this is about a week old, but it shows some of our tasks that we had assigned to us in ClickUp. We also had a board view, but this was just a good idea of how many tasks we actually had assigned and how many we had to do. And what we would do is we would have weekly meetings, the dev team would every Wednesday, where we would assign tasks to each other and kind of deliberate on who was best suited for what, as well as any issues that were coming up with the tasks that were already assigned to us. So like I said, we were really task driven. Each week we have like a due date for our tasks that were assigned to us, and we try to get them done by then. And like I said, bring up any issues that we faced. So another really important aspect that we focused on during development was code review. So on the screenshot on the right, this shows a pull request that John had made and he wanted to merge it into our main branch and get it combined with the rest of our code. And so we actually have a rule that all pull requests have to be approved and reviewed by at least 2 members of the dev team. And we really like the code review because, as you can see, the screenshot also has a comment from me where I suggest maybe assigning a variable to a commonly used string. So this type of code review, all accessible on GitHub. It's really nice because it allows us to see all the changes that a person has made. It allows us to add comments and point out certain issues that we might find with the code. And having at least 2 approvals makes sure that code is always looked at before it gets merged. So one thing about our app that we've really enjoyed is that we've hosted it on Vercel. And we like Vercel for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it's free, so a project with 0 budget, it's nice to be able to have a free hosting service like that. And one of the really cool things about Vercel is that, as the screenshot shows, anytime we have it hooked up to our GitHub. So anytime someone makes a pull request, Vercel essentially grabs the code and will automatically deploy it to the web. So when you're making a web app, this is really useful. So instead of having to clone the repo and get it spun up every single time, Vercel basically takes care of all that. And that leads me to our next point, is that this makes it very easy for our testing manager, Michael, to do some tests. So since Vercel automatically deploys everything, it makes it pretty easy for Michael to get a hold of it all and make sure that things are working as they should. We have a very extensive testing matrix, so Michael's in there, trying to break things, making sure that it passes all of our tests and that everything's working as it should be. So that's pretty much it for a low overview of the development side. I'm going to go ahead and hand it on over to John, who's going to go into a little bit more detail about the implementation.
Thank you, Chip. So here is our main page of our application located at kickback-project.versal.app. And so I'll click login, and we've decided all users should log in with their Gmail account just so we don't have to store usernames and passwords. So I'll select my account here, and I'll be redirected back to our page. Fetching Google, fetching Kickback, and we pull in the user's name and avatar from their Google account. And so you'll see here, the first thing I see are all of my events. These are ones that I'm hosting. You see John's dinner, that's one I'm hosting. And then Max's birthday, that's one I've just been invited to and I haven't made an RSVP decision yet. And then the big party, that's another one I've been invited to and I've said that I'm going. So I can use these filters to see, filter through these events, or I can just do all. I can also use the search bar, so J or M, we'll search by the title of the event. And then I can also click on the event to see more information about it. So you'll see if I click on this one, I get the date and time, the location, what friends of mine are going, and then I also have the option to delete the event. That's because I'm hosting this one. If I click on one that I'm just invited to, I just don't have that delete thing, and I get my friends that are going to that. So now I can say, oh, I'm not sure if I'm going to Max's, so I'll click the question mark. And then if I want to change that decision, I can just click this pencil and say, oh, I'm going actually. So now that's all updated. And if I want to create a new event, say I want to have I'm having a hangout next weekend or something, I'll say hangout at John's. I'm just going to do a fake location, but we get Google autocomplete here. We'll say 756 West Webster. I'll pick a date and time. Let's just do the 26th at, say, 8:30. And then I'll give it a description. Hang out with friends at John's. And then I can invite people. So I'll say Chip, and I get a bunch of suggestions, and these are all users in our application. And I can hit enter, and then I'll say I'm also inviting Steve, and I'm also inviting Harry, and that's it. So now when I submit this, it'll create an event object for the event and 3 invite objects, one corresponding to each person that I've invited. And this is one of the ways that we handle concurrency. So instead of all of these users, when they RSVP, updating the event object and saying, hey, I'm going, they're just going to update their one invite object. So Chip will have his own individual invite object. And this allows both users and events to see everybody's RSVP status, but we're not all updating the same object or having 50 people update the same object. So I'll click submit here, and that event's going to be created. We'll see right here, Hangout at John's. I can click on that, see more information. And then I'm going to show you the database really quick. So here are our events. I gotta do fetch. And then we'll see Hangout at John's, this one. So you can see at the right here, I have an invited list. Chip, Steve, and Harry. That's just who I invited. I have my description. Can open that up. Hang out with friends at John's. All my address, stuff like that. But then if I go to invites, and this is important too, we'll see this event ID J6EB. Let's remember those first four. And if we go to invites, we'll see event ID. Let's find J6EB right here. So there's an invite to Harry. And then here's the invite to Steve, J6EB. And then here is the invite to Chip down here. So when Chip loads his app, he'll see this J6EB or the Hangout at John's event. And when he updates his status, it'll go right here. And this is just one of our design decisions that helps concurrency. We also have stuff with this for the friend system, stuff like this for the friend system, and I'll get to that in a second. So now if we click this up by my name in the top right, if we click the people icon, it'll take us to our friends page. So here on the left are all of my friends that I've already sent friend requests to and they've accepted. And here in the middle are all the users that I could potentially send a request to, and I can use a search bar to search through them. So if I do C, we'll just have Chips. If I do W, get the one, and so on and so forth. And then requests over here, all these pending ones are ones that I sent out to users. And then Chip here has sent me an invite, so I can click accept. That'll say loading, and then it'll be added down here to my friends. And then say I want to friend dsolo.prof, I can click add friend, loading, and it'll be added to my requests over here. And so the concurrency control technique that we use on this is slightly different because at the end of the day, when somebody accepts a friend request, they're going to have to update the other user's object to say, hey, you're my friend now. So what we do to handle that is we have a version number attached to each user's object. So you'll see here mine is version 59 because I've had a lot of updates, been doing a bunch of stuff. So every time my user object gets updated, this version number increases. And the important part about the incrementing of this version number is that every time a user wants to update their own user object, we check to make sure that the version they have on the front end is the version that is in the database. And so if a user, for example, accepted a friend request, so they made an update to somebody else's user object because they said, hey, I've accepted your friend request, so now I'm going to add myself to your friends array. Then if that person's using the application, their user object might no longer be up to date because they received their object 10 minutes ago, but somebody just made an update. So if that person tries to make an update to their user object, their version will be out of date, and our front end will say, hey, please try again. Your user object is out of date, and it sends them back their updated user object at that moment. And so once they go and try again, it should work, and their state will be proper and kept in order. So this is like this is the second control technique that we use. The first one is kind of called whiteboarding or whiteboard pattern, and then this one is called optimistic locking. So now if we go back to our application, say we're done, got nothing else left to do, we can log out here with this door icon in the upper right, and I'll just click that and we'll be taken back to the login screen. And that's it. Now to you, Dinesh.
Thanks, John. We started this project and have maintained it with our future goals in mind. What John just showed you was our progress from group 1.0 of our ClickUp. We have 3 additional group of tasks that we have pre-planned to keep our goals in mind of where we want this platform to go. 2.0 is our immediate group of tasks we plan on working on. 2.0 requires the satisfaction of 49 different testing requirements from our initial build. These include software testing as well as quality assurance tests, such as inviting users to test drive our platform and getting their feedback. Although we have been incrementally testing, this phase will be critical to our progress as a project. 3.0 will be the development of functionalities we have deemed as extra but still useful. Features such as creating the ability to check into events via QR code, sending out invites via email, and making an event public. Having our platform reach users outside of ClickUp is key. We want our platform to be as accessible as possible, and this includes users who may not be familiar with us yet. We would also like to give users the option to make an event public and searchable to anyone on the platform. 4.0 will be when we open our doors to the world and invite anyone with an internet connection onto our platform. From this step, and based on a measurable user survey we distribute, we will regroup as a team and determine what our next steps are based on feedback from users. This concludes our presentation. Thank you so much for listening, and the entire Kickback team would like to thank you for your time and wish you a great rest of your day.